What is up, guys? Today we'll be discussing the LG V60 versus the V40. So you can pick the V40 renewed for around $230, brand new, $300. Links will be down below. And the LG V60 you can get refurbished or renewed for around $500 on eBay. But if you want it brand new, it will cost around $600 to $700. Plus the dual screen case is an extra $100. Now, starting off with the hardware, both of these phones are IP68 dust and water resistant, and as you can see, the V60 is just massive even compared to the V40 here. It is just a big and heavier phone than the V40, so I know that turns a lot of people off. Now, I actually have gotten used to like the weight, and I actually like it, but again, if you don't like big phones, you are just not gonna like the V60. But as far as design wise, they both pretty much still look the same. They have the same button layout, the same headphone jack with the quad DAC layout, the same speaker layout, pretty much the same. Now you will see a big difference up front. You have a POLED 6.8-inch display on the V60, 1080p 395 for the PPI with the little water drop notch, and on the V40 you have a 6.4-inch POLED display. It's 1440p 537 for the PPI. So again, a higher resolution and PPI on the V40, but like I said in my previous videos, you're not going to really notice the difference because LG has done a great job with the display quality on the V60, so it really shows. So they both still look very nice, very color accurate displays, very bright on both. Now you do have a bigger notch on the V40, so I was glad to see that go away on the V60. I prefer the water drop notch, but you do have to sacrifice the dual camera setup that the V40 has, which kind of sucks. Now, both these phones are capable of running Android 10. You get Android 10 out of the box on the V60. And on the V40, on my Sprint version, I've gotten a security update. I thought it was going to be Android 10, but it wasn't. So it hasn't gotten it yet because Sprint is so slow with updates, but it is upgradable if you're on an unlocked V40. So they both run perfectly fine. As you can see from these benchmark tests, the V60 is going to kill the V40 with the A65 versus the A45, but they're both very fast phones. As you can see from the speed test comparison, they just run really great. So multitasking, just using your phone really hard, is going to be great on both. Now for the specs, like I said, you have the Snapdragon 865 on the V60. You also have 128 gigs of storage and 8 gigs of RAM with micro SD support. And you also have 64 gigs of internal storage on the V40, 6 gigs of RAM with micro SD support. So it is a nice hefty upgrade in the storage and RAM department, which is something that's really nice for multitasking, just using your phone a little bit harder. Now I do want to cut to the test I did with the stereo speakers and the gaming, so let's go ahead and cut to those. Go ahead and check out speaker performance at max value on both, starting with the V60. So immediately a huge improvement in speaker quality. I've been really impressed with the V60 speakers. It's just louder, there's more bass, there's more punch, mids and highs sound excellent. So it's a big improvement over the V40. Just overall, just better stereo speakers on the V60. If we look at gaming performance on here, if you go to settings and graphics on both, you'll see that we're at the same settings pretty much for graphics, except when we get to frame rate. So if you're a serious, hardcore gamer, the V60 is a really great upgrade because of the dual screen case, again, that you get with this phone. So it does make a big difference. It turns it into a really powered user phone here. But gaming is going to be great on both of these phones. As you can see, the V60 showing speed there, but you will notice the extreme frame rate difference. It's going to be virtually the same. So gaming is still really great. So there's not a huge upgrade unless you're just really a stickler for the FPS here. Now, both of these phones do come equipped with NFC for your mobile payments, which is great. Now, on the V40, you still have the physical fingerprint scanner on the back versus the in-display one on the V60. Now, they're both extremely fast. I was really happy with the V60's performance, but there's one thing that I do have to note. The V60 does not have face unlock. The V40 does, so it's very strange that they don't have that on the V60, but the in-display fingerprint sensor is very fast, so I really do like the move to bringing it up front as opposed to having to pick your phone up and having it on the back. Now, I do want to talk about the camera, starting with the V60. You have a triple camera setup, 64 megapixel standard, 13 megapixel ultra wide with a 0.3 megapixel depth sensor. You do get 8K video on the V60, which is really nice, 30 FPS. You have a front-facing camera that's 10 megapixels at 4K, 30 FPS, which is really nice. So on the V40, you have a 12 megapixel standard, 12 megapixel telephoto, and a 16 megapixel ultra wide. You get 4K 30 or 60 FPS, and you have that dual camera setup up front. So you have an 8 megapixel standard and also a 5 megapixel wide. So if you want to take group selfies, this is really an excellent phone for that. You have 1080p video as well. Now, unlike the V35, I did not see a huge improvement between these two cameras. Now, I do notice that the V40 is actually a little bit more color accurate. The V60 kind of goes for more punchier colors like on the iPhone and Samsung. So I guess people like that look, but I prefer the more natural look now. And indoor settings, the V60 does do a really great job at giving those natural colors instead of those punchy colors, which is something that I really like. But as far as a dynamic range, image quality, it's really the same here. You're not seeing a big difference until you get to the front-facing camera. You will see a slight improvement when it comes to skin tones, but overall these two cameras are still very close. I don't think it's a huge upgrade unless you're really into the 8K video and 4K video for the front-facing camera. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about battery life. So on the V60, you have a 5,000 milliamp battery with wireless charging, and you also have a 3,300 milliamp battery on the V40 with wireless charging as well. Now, if you're not using 5G on the V60, you will notice a huge bump up in battery life from the V40 to the V60. You can at least get 10 to 11 hours of screen on time. Again, if you're not using a dual screen case or on 5G, the V40 will get you around 7 hours to 7 hours and 30 minutes of screen on time. I have a drain test at the 1440p resolution, so you can get better battery life if you use it at 1080p. But you still get super solid battery life out of the V40. It's just not going to be as good as on the V60. So I do think that is a worthy or notable upgrade. Alright, so bottom line, I think it's a really solid upgrade here. If you're not into the dual screen case, then I don't know. I don't think you should rush out and get the V60. Maybe wait until the price drops. I still think the V40 is really good. Again, if you're not a power user, then you really don't need the V60 here. But what do you guys think? Let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.